My name is Rob Small. In 2010, whilst working as a dive instructor on the island of Zanzibar, my house caught fire, trapping me inside. For 10 days without any painkillers or intravenous fluids, my life hung in the balance. Once back in the UK, with over 200 days spent in hospital, 1 month of that in a coma, and 36 operations so far, I'm finally getting my life back to normal and ready for a new adventure. So, together with a filmmaking friend of mine, Kevin, and armed with just a couple of iPhones and a drone to record our journey, we wanted to see how far we could bikepack around Iceland. We've never done anything like this before, but we're up for the challenge. And a bit of a laugh. I guess you could say I've really come from fire to ice. We put aside 30 days at the end of the Icelandic summer to get as far around Iceland's RingRoad as possible. Starting in the capital Reykjavik, we headed towards a dive site at Silfra. Here I could fulfill a lifetime's ambition of mine and dive in between two tectonic plates. Then heading off-road towards the now extinct Ok Glacier, to then rejoin the RingRoad towards the towns of Akureyri, to Iceland's second largest town, Illistedish. Then swinging back west to Iceland's largest glacier, Vatnajökull, Europe's second largest glacier. And then the glacial lagoon, finishing some 30 days later at the Fjalladalsfjall volcano. A journey of fire and ice.
My experience in cycling is extremely limited in much respects. It's, I mean, we've all cycled, we all had bikes when we were little, but apart from around the park with my little boy and maybe pushing myself a little bit down a small trail, not that much really, not that much at all.
But although we have never done anything like this before, we wanted to experience some of the gravel and the infamous F-roads that Iceland has to offer. After being picked up from the airport by Icelandic filmmaker Stina, and with the help of Stina's mum Rosa, we only had a few days to finalise the route, organise our supplies, reassemble our bikes, before we could finally get going. We both needed this extra time because Kevin and I are living in separate countries. Myself near London, and Kevin near Amsterdam. We hadn't been able to do any of the planning and testing face-to-face as we normally would. We could only really work things out when we actually got going, and those pedals started turning. I'm thinking that I've been dying to get going for what feels like 5, 6, 10 years since the fire almost. And then the last 2 days has been an absolute whirlwind, and I just kind of want to get on the bike now. I'm not kidding. My bike didn't fall down, by the way. It's that Icelandic wind.
This has been like almost 4 months of planning to make this project happen, and I can't believe we're actually finally at the start in Reykjavik. We've got like 24 days of this on the road as we circumnavigate Iceland. It's going to be one hell of a ride, literally. Just take day by day, that's all we can do. Pedal by pedal, stroke by stroke, and some 20-30 days later, back here, back at the start again. My old mate Rob, he's still fluffing around. He's been fluffing around for the last 2 days trying to pack things. He's still fluffing. Are you still fluffing, Rob?
Pardon?
Are you still packing?
2 words, one of them's off.
Yeah.
We're actually just going down the hill behind us to the coast, turn right, and then we just keep cycling until, I don't know, we're the first coffee shop. I'm not really sure. No, I'm joking. Proper cycling from then on.
It's not going to be easy. Like these, some roads are going to be simple, but some F-roads and off-roads that we've planned are really, really off course. And you guys are barely going to have signal at those points, and I'm just going to have to wait to see if you guys can text me to say that you're okay. This is the first night since we got here that I didn't get a nightmare about having to try to find you guys in the middle of nowhere.
This is Ollie. This is Ollie. My little boy gave me this dinosaur before I left, and I wanted him to be with me, kind of thing, and I wanted this little dinosaur to experience the trip. So I called him Ollie, just so he's always with me. Hope he lasts. He will. I'll let the bike go before I let the dinosaur go.
Ready?
Ready, man. Can't leave my bike, but I feel like I want a hug. No, I'm not doing fist bumps.
No. Okay. Still want to do a fist bump.
Yeah. Come on, you got to do it properly. You got to do this. One of the problems of any big trip is getting out of the big cities, and Reykjavik, although maybe not huge compared to London or something, when you don't know where you are, it's still... I still feel a bit lost, and the cycle lanes say go this way, and then the GPS tells us to go back on the road, and I don't really know which is the right way. So, you know, we made it to the ocean, man. So, you know, if anything, we made it to the ocean, and now we got a simple decision 2k's in whether we save 3 kilometers and go through the main road, or whether we do an extra 3 kilometers and take this nice cycle path round. What's your feeling?
I personally prefer the cycle path. Psychopath.
Cycle.
The cycle path.
And add 3k's.
Yeah, 3k's in the whole grand scheme of things.
Well, no, 3k's in a day is, you know, when it's flat, that's easy. You know, that 3k's we could have saved from on a hill. I don't know.
You are Chief Navigation Officer.
Do you know what? I think we should go through the road. I think we should face our fear.
Okay.
Let's go the cycle path.
Before the fire, my life was as good as perfect as you could do for a 20 to 30-year-old. Permanent tan, money, exotic locations, and doing a job you love. That's perfection. That is a perfect life. And I had the perfect life. And then off to Zanzibar, where it got a bit different. You know, for a dream to turn to a nightmare, it's a cliche to say, but that's exactly what it is. To go from having this life that was great, and then 22 seconds of being on fire, and then I had to start again. Everything was started again, everything.
What's wrong, Rob?
No, seriously, quick. We're in an industrial estate, which is fine, but, you know, this whole trip so far, all 7, 8, 9 minutes of it, and this is the hardest part. Cycling around Iceland's all one thing, but, you know, this is a bit frustrating, and really, now we've got to try and navigate a building site. I'm finding it hard to because I'm the one navigating, and that's fine, and I'll do this bit, and you can do when there's, you know, straight roads with nothing to navigate.
Of course.
But I come from the UK, you live in the Netherlands right now, you're used to driving on the wrong side. So not only am I cycling, I'm being serious, mate, not only am I cycling, I got to think, where's the cars coming from? I'm not sure, can I cross here? Is that light for me? I have no idea. On top of that, now there's forklifts driving towards me. You're laughing because you think it's funny. How about you navigate? I'll give you the phone and we'll see how we go, all right? Now, Rob, I think you're going the wrong way. You can't see, you don't have the phone. Stop laughing, it's not funny. Get on your bike. Had enough, let's go. You don't have to stop the traffic. If my bike can't cycle down this little bit, then we shouldn't go around Iceland. I'm not kidding, man. I am nervous though. Easy. After about 50 kilometers, we got out of the city. And I felt like the adventure that had taken months in the making was actually happening. But you know what? They're hard Ks, mate, because they're not... I've said before earlier, when we were chatting about it when we stopped for water, that all this winding roads and through the city and having to check the sat-nav is time-consuming and hard. And now, sat-nav's off, phone's off, we're just got to keep going until we can't go anymore and stick up the tent, basically. One way from now on, till we're tired, I reckon. What do you think? Another 2 hours, 3 hours? Ish.
Yeah.
Stop. Tent. Tomato soup. I love my tomato soup. Buddy, weather's opened up in us a bit. But out of Reykjavik, we've made it to Pinglivern. Go on then.
Ping pong.
Pinglivern, I think. Anyway, this is actually where we're going to go diving tomorrow. So as far as I'm aware, the visitor centre's here. This whole area, I think, as far as I'm aware, is the tectonic plates. So this is the Eurasian plate and the North American plate? It is, North American plate. And I think we go diving somewhere in these cracks here somewhere. Supposedly the clearest and coldest diveable water in the world. Maybe not the coldest, because ice diving might be the same. I don't know, it's about 4 degrees I've been told. But the visibility is like a swimming pool, except of course tectonic plates in the way. What do you reckon? You want to come in?
You're looking forward to it?
Yeah, bucket list thing. We got here probably an hour ago and set up tents, as you can see, which is not the easiest thing for the first time, because we're still kind of finding our feet and deciding where everything goes and all of this, but yeah, campsite for the first night.
I'm really happy with day one. I think we did an excellent job. And it's actually the first time that Rob and I have actually cycled together. And it's the first time that we've actually gone through the equipment together. It's the first time we put the tents up together. It's the first time we've done anything in the real world together for about 4 to 5 years. And we're working so well as a team. And that is the real pleasure of the trip. It's being with a like-minded, kindred spirit. So I'm so excited to be onward and outward for our next journey, and for Rob to really fulfill one of his dreams and go diving tomorrow in between the tectonic plates. That is going to be awesome.
I've been working in the diving industry for over 20 years now. In fact, it was whilst working in Zanzibar as an instructor that my house caught fire, trapping me inside. Now, in the diving community, there are a few sites around the world that really stand out. And one of them just happened to be right on our cycle route. Now, that's an opportunity I couldn't miss. I've been diving for 22, 25 years, and I can honestly say that this has been on the list from the very start. Because when you Google diving, you know, this is one of the pictures that will come up. This Scapa Flow, which we have in Scotland, and then everything else is Maldives, which I lived for a long time, and Fiji and so on. But I never made it here, and when we found out we were coming, I was like, oh, I'll just quick Google and check. And
it's like a crime not to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm stupid. I'm little boy excited.
That's awesome.
I'm little boy excited. Let's go remember how to do it.
No, you'll see. It's going to be good fun.
Cool, let's do it.
All right.
With Ants as my guide, I got ready to dry suit up. Look what I'm wearing. Tropical diving is slightly different, but now we've got 2 pairs of socks on. Nice under long johns, and now we're putting on what we used to call a woolly bear, but here essentially an undersuit. I reckon it's going to be freezing. And I'm excited like a little boy. It's unreal. Just layer after layer after layer.
And then you just give birth to your hands. Make sure it's not folded. You're very sad.
Although I've got about 5,000 dives under my belt, it's been about 20 years since I last wore a dry suit.
Still look good.
And it's quite a different setup from a wetsuit.
All right, let me stretch it from here. Put it on top.
Giving birth, you're going to like this bit.
There you go.
Ah, nice.
There you go. Look down in front of you. I'll fold it in. And up now.
Surreal. Seriously, I joke a lot, yeah? Surreal. This is surreal. The queuing is all part of it. It's part of the experience, you know? Everybody else is just as excited. All the other people around you or you know, it's like a shared excitement right now. You can feel the buzz with everyone. And I've got nervous, well not nervous, the excitement is getting to the legs of it. And that will stay right up until I step in the water, and then the face will change as the cold hits me. The moment my head went underwater, it was like I'd entered another world. The clarity of the water was off the scale. As a professional diver, you get to experience so many different locations. But to dive in between two tectonic plates is beyond any bucket list. I was touching with one hand North America and with the other Europe. There isn't another location like this on the planet. Even with the dry suit, you could feel the cold. I wasn't sure if the iPhone was going to hold up. We had one shot at recording it, and that responsibility was on my shoulders. We spent about 40 minutes underwater. There were snorkelers above us, but we were the only divers. The whole experience was more than just a tick on a bucket list. After the fire, I wasn't sure how I would be in the water. My whole life was dedicated to one thing: diving. To think all of that can be taken away from you in a heartbeat is just devastating.
Was that what you hoped, mate?
No, it wasn't. It was much, much more than I possibly hoped. And my lips, they are numb. I don't know if it sounds it, I can't. We sometimes blow bubbles underwater, so you lie on your back and you can make a bubble ring come up. And I do it all the time. And I can make them come out of each other. But of course here you can't feel your lips, so when you try and do it, you go, and it doesn't work at all. But oh my goodness, just magical is the word. I'd say.
Yeah.
Magical. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I really do.
Awesome.
Unbelievable.
All right, let's get some hot chocolate.
Best part of the dive. How'd you want? Ants was a great dive buddy. I'm definitely going to keep in touch. I even invited him to my somewhat warmer dive school in the tropical island of Samoa. He didn't take much convincing.
We've only been here 2 days. What do you think?
Pack up and go. There's no point in staying now. How are we topping that?
What do you think the rest of the island's got for us installed?
If this is how we start, you know, I'm slightly worried that that's it. We've peaked early. There's no better than this. What I've been assured that every turn you make is just something more special and more spectacular and more amazing, and it's going to be fun finding out, right? And we've got a decision to make. The road in front of us is the gravel road. Until then, we've been on normal tarmac or grade 2 tarmac, if you will. But this is the first time we go to proper gravel. But that is the only way towards the glacier and where we go towards Husafell afterwards. So we've got to give it a try, basically. Worst case scenario is we could always turn around and come back to the road that's next to us here that goes another way. But my feeling is if we don't try, we're not going to know. So I reckon we go for it and see what happens. Neither of us had much experience cycling on gravel, especially Kevin living in the Netherlands. So together, we were on a steep learning curve. As the weather deteriorated, we headed towards the extinct Och Glacier, a poignant reminder for the future.
Behind me is the Och Glacier, but you read it as okay. Except things are not okay, because the Icelandic government has positioned a plaque, and on the plaque is a letter to the children of the future to say that we have allowed this glacier to become extinct. It has melted due to man-made climate change. It's always been on a bucket list of mine to go there. But the weather, the wind today is just not going to let us do it.
The winds just got stronger and stronger, with predictions up to 65 kilometers an hour. At first it was just a laugh, kids in a storm and all that.
You can't hear us!
But our naivety didn't last long. As the gusts built, I wondered if they were katabatic winds coming off the glacier. What was more frustrating, especially for Kevin, was that we had to stop filming. We were basically being sandblasted by fine particles of volcanic glass. Not only was it stripping paint from the bikes, but scratching the lenses of the iPhones. We had to put them away.
Sketchy as hell, man. Not even funny. At one point we're doing about 44 kilometers an hour, and that's just the wind pushing us. That was nothing else, no pedaling, just wind. I had a few wobbles. Kevin had a few. Kevin came off actually. I would love to film Kevin come off, and he'd love to film me wobbling, but it was just too hard. The bikes were all over the place. It was almost impossible. Fun, scary, but happy we're kind of out of it, to be honest.
There's a bothy, not in Scotland, but a bothy. Essentially a rescue hut, if you will, with all of the little bits you might need if you're stuck in the storm, or you got halfway between there and here, kind of what we are. We've got a gas cooker and power, I think, but no light bulbs. Lots of spare food, tin of beans, rice, pot noodles, candles, everything. 2 beds if you needed it. I mean, we could just stay here tonight, really. This is, and the view is the best view you're going to get in a while. This is fantastic. And a gas heater, wow, it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. It was a curious place. We decided nonetheless to push on and make up some extra ground.
Look at the place we found. If you go to wild camping, the absolutely best place you can get. I mean, wow. The house I was living in caught fire, basically, with me inside the house. And the only way out of this house was to run through the flames. So I took a deep breath and I ran out the door. But as I ran out, I ran through petrol, which was what exploded from the generator, and it set me on fire. And I was on fire for about 20 seconds. The day after, I think I was flown to Dar es Salaam, where I was admitted to a hospital. Hospital is a hospital, but it's not a place that you'd want to go to be fixed.
There is road. Finally, a bit of tarmac. Finally, a bit of tarmac. Now, I must confess, this is the first time in my life I've ever cycled in gravel. I actually live in the Netherlands. I think I've mentioned this, but I live in the Netherlands, and obviously there's no gravel. It's perfectly smooth cycle lanes on a perfectly level ground and manicured. It's a national emergency if you get so much as a crack in one of the cycle lanes. So to cycle on gravel was a real baptism of fire, but I really enjoyed it. The thing I'm finding the most is actually my shoulders really hurt. Just trying to keep hold of those handlebars and all the rivets and the bumps, but the bikes have done really well, although Rob has got a slight problem with his front tyre, so we'll investigate or his front wheel actually. We'll go and investigate what's going on.
As we got onto the nice non-gravel, the tarmac, I noticed that my front wheel was moving a bit. It was actually under the front brake. There was a lateral movement which made me quite nervous. So this is why you bring tools with you. You've got the tools out, and you're going to check. I'm hoping that all it is the front wheel needs a bit. It is. Look at that. Oh my goodness. That's all it was. When I say that's all it was, the worrying thing is that I reckon if we had another couple of hours of that downhill bumpy, my front wheel might have come off because I wouldn't have been checking it. Because you can't feel the movement in the wheel when you're going down all these bumps. You don't notice it. It was only when it got smooth I noticed that it was movement. Lucky that actually. I mean, really lucky, really lucky. Although the gravel was behind us, we knew we had more to come, but we had already lost so much time. So do we stick to the road or the slower gravel?
Okay, Rob, we've got to make a decision. Do we go on the nice, smooth, silky tarmac, but longer, 40k longer you said, or do we go on the gravel, F-road, unknown road?
But the part of the unknown road, if it is completely unknown, we're walking the bikes for, I don't know, a day? There's no way of knowing, that's the problem. Whereas the other way, it's longer, but we know the roads are doable.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how to make the decision.
First you flip a coin. Did it come down to a coin?
But I can see the pros and cons, and a gravel road is more exciting. There's no way around that. That's going to be fact.
Yeah.
But it's going to be harder, or else everybody would always take that road instead of going this way. The way to get to where we're going is the main road.
Okay.
This isn't the way. This is our way.
Yeah.
And this is not the way anybody else would choose.
So after much deliberation, we decided that we are going to take the road. It is 40k longer, but it is tarmac. And to be honest, I'm quite happy with that decision. It was sort of pushed by myself, but I think, to be honest, I've never cycled on gravel in my life, and then we've done 2 very hard days of gravel. And to do another 3 or 4 days on gravel, I think I'm just asking for a little bit of injury. I've got quite a lot of pain in my shoulders, pain in my hands for holding on, pain in my back, and a little bit of pins and needles in my left arm, which is a bit strange. So I think I don't want to get an injury so early on in the trip. We're only about sort of 10-15% of the adventure done, and I think I want to try and stay as fit and healthy without sort of chancing it, because it is hard. If you've never done it before, it's hard. So it's going to be the road. That's our choice.
We were just joking about it earlier, but for all we know, that could say no parking of bikes. It really could.
But it looks nice. Finish the shot.
I've just pinched Rob's camera, his little diary camera. I just want to say, while he can't hear us, I just want to say, off the record, he is a top guy. The guy never ever moans. Nothing is too much trouble. Considering that guy spent 200 days in hospital fighting for his life with some of the worst pain imaginable, that of a burn injury, I think we could all take a leaf out of people's books like that. People that have gone through hell and come out the other side as a better person. He's made me well up. He's such a top guy. He's a top guy.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars. Maybe the birds will sing about your heart. Maybe the trees will whisper the word. Maybe the sun will spread your joy to the ones who lost their hope.
Welcome to the spot under my bridge, mate. Welcome to the Caribbean. It's roughly the same. Every now and then, my crew and I, we've got to do a little bit of bike maintenance, have we? So we're just going to practice pumping up the tire, mate. Bumpy. Let's go. We've had that before, we have.
Rob, you're supposed to pump it up, not let it.
I find the best way to pump up the tyre is to get rid of all the air, start again with this fresh air we have here, because before we had house air. This is fresh Icelandic air. This was on purpose, mate.
You don't have this problem with your bike, because you don't have one of these valves, you do.
So what's the plan after you've re-inflated your entire tyre, Rob?
Well, after the next 45 minutes to pump this up, that was a mistake, by the way. What we've got to do is, it's 4 days in, we had a little bit of bike maintenance the other day when my wheel almost came off. So we just got to check everything, check the tyre pressures, pump them up, check everything's tight, and that's about the extent of our bike maintenance for now. We did wash the bikes as well, but once we got everything pumped, we're good to go. Another 50 k's on the road, hopefully, without anything falling off or going flat. Just give me 10 minutes. After the bike maintenance, we had decided to set up camp early. Although the site wasn't ideal, it had been a hard day. It's getting late and we know where else to really go. It's windy, it's rocky, it's not the easiest place to put a tent. It's a bit bushy, but you know, it's a bed for the night and that's all we really need. And I think it'll be fine. I think we'll make do here, no problem. The last hour was horrendous. Headwinds were so bad that essentially we were walking speed. I think we were doing 6 kilometers an hour cycling. Walking 3-4, except a lot better on your feet. It was soul destroying, draining, mentally draining. So we're just happy to have any campsite, really. We're having real problems pronouncing where we were going. Road signs, locations. So we just stopped trying because it's too hard and embarrassing. I think I'd probably get more hate from the Icelandic people trying really hard and getting it wrong than just saying Blodos. Have a stamanagagagi. Have no, I'll get this, right? Have a stangy. I don't know. And that one is the thing is, I truly, we're not being offensive, and unfortunately Kevin's crying behind the camera. We're not being offensive, I've just no idea. There's all these letters with dots above it and scores and dots, and I just don't know. So I promise I'm not trying to offend anyone, I really promise. But every time we have to do a piece to camera and I spend 10 minutes trying to work out the pronunciation, it doesn't work. So from now on, we're just going to do it the way we see it. Offend some people, but please, we're just rubbish at it. We're not trying to be offensive. And I promise I will put the time in later to try and learn to pronounce your beautiful language better.
We're on the pushy part as well. It's too much actually, you know. You can cycle uphill for, you know, half a kilometre, but you know, when you start getting a kilometre of climbing with about 35 kilos on the bikes, something's got to give. And this is this journey is not a sprint. So it's the tortoise strategy over the hare strategy, which definitely suits the both of us, because Rob definitely looks like a tortoise. Would you agree?
Out of the two of us.
Would you agree?
Out of the two of us, mate.
Tortoise shell. Yeah. And also getting off the bikes is, I find it good for the different muscles, isn't it, Rob?
My toes go a bit cold and numb. So a little bit of walking fixes that.
Is that because of the fire?
I mean, I don't know, maybe some of it because of the scarring on my feet maybe constricts it a little bit, I'm not sure. I don't remember it before it, so maybe. But walking definitely fixes it for sure. Just maybe not so much uphill.
think it was 7-10 days, can't remember now, 7 or 10 days in Dar es Salaam in this hospital. Without painkillers, without fluids, and they were treating me best they could. Basically every day I had the sheets ripped off of me because they stick to your wounds. I was taken to a bath, and then they'd scrub my wounds with a nail brush. And they'd scrub, and the noise come out of me was irrelevant. And they'd scrub, and then I'd go back to bed, where all the sheets would stick to my open wounds again. And then the next day, they'd rip this sheet off and scrub it again. And that's the only thing I ever struggled to talk about with the fire. I've always been able to talk about what happened, but at the beginning, that I really struggled. I'd break down in tears all the time. These roads are super dangerous. This is more dangerous than coming down the hill the other day. When you overtake a bike on the road, act as though it's a car and move over to the other lane like you would a car. Because some of these trucks, buses, all these cars that come past us and leave us a little bit of room, at that speed, the wind is moving us around, and it's dangerous as...
We were getting tired of the monotony of the road. We wanted a wilderness adventure. But pushing the bikes on the flat highway against a strong headwind was leaving us uninspired. And we started to think, was there a plan B?
Yeah, so yesterday we had this kind of dilemma, Rob, didn't we? We were sort of like thinking the ring road isn't what we expected.
It's not. It's just very monotonous.
I know there's trucks and cars, and it is a road after all. I mean, what were we expecting? The road for ourselves? I mean...
That's it. I'm sorry, the guys are here. Can everybody else just stay off the road while they do the bit?
Yeah.
Nah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
I just hope that we can have some interactions with people and sort of communities and little curiosity shops, coffee stops, other cyclists, other travellers.
Because we had this crossroads, it's always going to be in our mind, the road not taken. Would have that been amazing? And if we went on that one, we're going to well, wouldn't this one be amazing?
Yeah.
But all our planning, all our prep was for this. So, you know, the bed you lie in and all that, I don't think it's a bad decision. I don't think it's a negative. I think it's a good one. That's crack on.
It was the project that we set out to do, to cycle Iceland's RingRoad, good or bad, exciting or monotonous. Take each day, you know, as it comes. The scenery will change for sure.
I mean, look where we are today.
You know, by a road.
Yeah, but the other side of the road is fantastic.
You know, it will change, and I think that is part of adventure, isn't it? You can't have adrenaline the whole time. You will have.
No, you definitely can't. We my heart couldn't handle that, I don't think, or my body couldn't anyway.
It was one real sort of wish list on doing this adventure and also making the film, that we would have organic, real sort of encounters with Icelandic people and experience some of the culture and just try to understand what it means to be Icelandic. But you know, going into a petrol station or something, you know, we're not sort of hearing their stories and meeting them. It's almost like there are no people, but of course there are.
They obviously know something that we don't, that it's windy and the weather can change just like that.
Yeah, it's a shame really, because a big part of the adventure, although we're having fun as individuals and taking the mickey out of each other, a big part of any cycle trip is the interaction with the people that you meet. And if the people that you meet aren't there, that doesn't make sense. But if the people aren't there...
I get what you mean. No, it does make sense. I get what you're meaning. I get what you're saying. Maybe we expected it to be...
It just would be nice to actually have that interaction with people. That's what we anticipated would be a big part of this trip. And to be honest, the only people that we really met are other tourists. So, yeah, it's a shame, but it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. So we'll continue to make the most of our adventure and just take the mickey out of each other is probably the best solution.
Finally, we did meet someone. We saw him approaching in the distance and literally hijacked him for a conversation. He wasn't Icelandic though, but Dutch. We still swapped stories and had a laugh.
Have you done mainly campsites at all, or have you been
No,
always...
wild camping, only wild camping, one campsite, and last night a cabin because everything was wet and it had rained all day yesterday, maybe too. So I checked in for a cottage. And it was so
And you had
good.
any problem wild camping? You
No.
always found a spot?
Yes, and the day before I slept in a horse stable because it was high in the hills and I was so sick and tired of the wind. And there was a hut with next to it a barn.
Yeah.
And I just peeked in the barn and I made my tent up in the barn. I slept like a
slept
god.
really well.
Like a god.
Really well. I
Only it
bet.
was a bit smelly.
That's worth
But
it, huh?
me too.
Exactly, yeah.
Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise.
There's an old song, "What a Difference a Day Makes," and that really applies to yesterday, because the end of yesterday we were just both, to be honest, just a bit downhearted. It was just the same scenery, but today the weather brings a completely different feel. The scenery is more diverse. We've had the oceans to our left, the Atlantic Ocean. So today we're feeling good, and we're just short of our campsite, probably about 2 or 3k, probably very hard. But you know, it is an adventure, so when it does get hard, just keep on at it, eh?
Beyond gravel, beyond all.
How do you know you get made fun of? It's very simple. Rob, just pretend you're cycling on your bike and speak and we'll see if the radio mics work. Yeah, no problem, mate. As long as you need. Well, I don't know why I need to do this bit, to be honest. I think I could have probably just spoke. You're taking the pee, you didn't need that at all, did you? Oh. Hands up if you're gullible. No, keep them up. I want to count them. Right.
So one of the things we talked about when we were packing for this trip was sun cream, and we really thought, do we need it like in Iceland? Well, today is the first day I think the sun cream is actually going to come out, isn't it, Rob?
Well, it's out.
Well, I'm going to put it on my head. On my head.
You don't have natural protection like hair.
Yeah, so it's going to get used.
The down part, and down's not the right word to use, but I don't know how else to say it right now, is because it's so nice and because it looks so amazing, we want to film it all. And as soon as we want to film it all, means we're stopping and setting up drones, and that takes, you know, a good 45 minutes, even though we're getting slicker at it. And cameras and all the rest of it, and it's all part of it, but before you know it, it eats away at your day. And trying to make the 50k a day, even though it's easier in these conditions, starts playing on the back of your mind. And it's only, I don't know, 11:15 in the morning now or something, but already I'm thinking, oh, we're gonna have to push at some point. But then we come around a corner and it's so stunning, we gotta get a camera out again. We're just making a cup of tea. And the reason that we're using all this to make a cup of tea is because you can't get it from anywhere. And hand on heart, we've hardly seen a petrol stations, I think 3. So 2 or 3, I remember 2 clearly. Anyway. And even coming over some of these mountain passes, I'd expect a petrol station or something just for the cars to fill up, and there's nothing. I find it really, really weird. And, you know, we get all excited when we see the flags or whatever, thinking it's a petrol station, or I do anyway. And I think, oh, I'm getting a warm coffee, I'm all in now. And then we came to this one, as like a lot of them, they're all closed, and I find it amazing. And it's what? Start of September,
just out of high season. I don't know, maybe we got it wrong. Maybe it is only open for a small period, but you get mentally worked up and you get excited. And if we didn't have all this stuff, then we wouldn't be having tea right now. And Kevin was saying earlier, you know, he thought that we were taking overkill, taking coffee and tea bags and everything. If we didn't bring coffee and tea bags, we would have had, what, 3 coffees in the last 10 days. And that's true. Oh, they've even got, oh, I bet they had sandwiches. I could do a sandwich. I'm just surprised, that's all. That's it. Just surprised, nothing else. On that, I'm going to make a cup of tea now. Akureyri, which is not far off how it's pronounced, I think. Over the hill and far away it is. I think it's like 5 k's away and we're there. Or to the town or city or whatever it is of Akureyri. And find somewhere that camp down for the night, I think. It's been a bit of a slog today for me. I don't know how you felt about it. I felt a bit, my bum's really sore. My knee's sore. It's just sore. Not really, a bit sore today.
And also, Rob, a couple of days ago, Stina helped you with the Icelandic. So I was just wondering, there's something behind you.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh. That one's
There's something behind you.
This is the perfectionism coming through. Hold your camera straight.
There's something behind you, Rob.
What about it?
Could you
What is it you want me to do?
could you explain to the viewers what's it called?
Well, I think this is the one that you told me you wanted to pronounce because you said, Rob, I'm so sick of you getting all the fun pronouncing these places. I'd like to have a go at this one, is what you said.
Great Gottgardor.
Say it again.
Great Gottgardor.
That's what I thought. Grudjotgaror. Grudjotgaror. Grudge. What is the little O with this? The Grudjotgaror. No, I don't. Stop laughing.
That was a long day. That was what, 65k, give or take.
And I felt it. I'm not going to lie to you. I felt it. My knees. I don't think I could. Oh, look, it's gone a bit blue. It's bruised. Look at that bruise. Scarring. You know, my legs are what they are, and I can't help that. And you know, I accepted my injuries a long time ago, and that's what it is. I mean, the good news, or not the good news, the good thing about what we're doing is it's not a race. It was never a race. We're not endurance athletes. I think we've said it before as well. And you know, we've got a finite amount of time before a flight, and we tried to get as far around of the country as we can.
So the most important thing, and we said this from the day one, it's not about saying we cycled all the way around Iceland. It's about we gave it a go and we had a good laugh along the way. That's all we can.
Yeah. That's
all we can hope for. That's all we can want.
At the end of the day, you can do what you can do. I don't want to let you down. I don't want to let people down. I don't. I'm serious. You know, my little boy's going to see this as well, and my friends and family and so on. And you know, if my knee can't handle getting around Iceland, then okay, it can't handle it. I can't stop that, but it doesn't take away me feeling bad about it if it happens.
No,
or embarrassed, or I don't know, slightly emotional maybe. Silly. Akureyri was our first town since leaving Reykjavik over 14 days ago. It was nice to leave the bikes and just have a bit of downtime in the city centre and harbour.
Akureyri, I think it's pronounced, on easily the coldest day we've had so far. Fully gloved up, helmet, hat. Kevin's got trousers, I've got my sexy socks up. And it's not always easy to get the map out. So we found a nice solution to that. What we do is we find a van with a map on it. Easier than all this getting maps out rubbish, keep your gloves on. Anyway, we started here. And we came up here. And along here. I'm going to stop that bit because it's annoying. Basically, where we are right now is here in Akureyri. And actually we had a bit of a, not an issue, but there's been a storm warning came through that Stina's warned us about, and we're now seeing it flashing up on the boards around us that there's a yellow warning of the storm. So we had a little discussion and we have to come through this little boat. This is great, we get this van everywhere. We're trying to head to here. But to do that, we've got to go over a mountain and the storm is maybe not the smartest idea. On top of that, my knee's been causing a bit of jip. So we were discussing today about the possibility of essentially staying where we are today, because traveling through here in the storm with no campsite's a bit silly, and possibly getting a bus while the storm's on, instead of losing that time, to leapfrog us forward a little bit. I don't know, we're still trying to find out if that's possible or not. But because we like the van, we thought we'd use the map. So to recap, idea is, this is where we are, storm coming, not smart to cycle in the storm, so instead of sitting put for 2 days doing nothing, we might leapfrog that day, jump on a bus that can go through the storm and take us forward. We'll let you know what happens, you can watch what happens. But there we go, on the bus.
I feel a bit guilty. I don't know if guilty is the right word. Feels a bit, I don't know, maybe like I've let this side down a bit, or we copped out, because okay, the storm, you know, that's been safe and sensible, but you know, my knee is playing up as well and it is a bit sore, and I don't want people to think that I've took the easy way out, that I saw the opportunity to sit out. It's what it is, right? With the doubt behind us, it was a relief that we could actually get the bikes on the bus. Even the driver warned us that the bus ride would be a bit sketchy with the side winds. As the barren landscape passed us by, we knew we'd made the right decision. But it was good, though, to get back on the bikes.
This is going to be a long flat road, and then how many kilometre climb?
23, I think it is.
23 kilometres of climbing. We are not looking forward to it.
We're talking between cars.
That's all I can say. We're sitting out a storm. We had to quickly duck off the road, there were some very dark and looming clouds on the horizon. And luckily we quickly got the tents up in about 10 minutes and dived into our respective tents. Rob is about 10 meters away from me, and all is well and good. And also reflecting again on Rob, and I keep on coming back to this, but he is just one of the most amazing people I've ever met. And I don't know if it's because he overcame the most horrendous of injuries, the most horrendous pain, the most horrendous set of circumstances. I mean, that guy really should have died, and he didn't. He survived the fire. And his body may still bear the scars. Obviously, you can't see them because they're under, you know, his legs and his back and stuff. But that man's heart is so big and so warm.
When we landed in the UK, I wasn't meant to survive the flight. So I was a bit surprised, along with everybody else actually, and everybody got off the plane and I was still lying there. And I just remember the first vision of the ambulance crew. And there's a guy, and he had this crisp line down his uniform where he'd been ironed in this green jumpsuit. The hospital I'd been in, they were in flip-flops and raggy shorts. And I just thought, that's it, I can let go now. Not let go as in die. I'd been fighting for 9-10 days at that point to stay alive. And the only way I could is to control everything. But this angel, this whatever he is, had the qualifications and the care and everything. I didn't have to try anymore. And it was such a comforting moment to see this person come on the plane.
I am getting tired of cycling, I must confess. You know, just the thought of cycling uphill in the wind doesn't excite me at all. But the sense of journey, the sense of adventure, that for me is what it's about. I know Rob's filming this, obviously, because he's holding the camera, there's no one else here. But I couldn't think of a better person to do it with than Robbo. And that is very true.
Cheers, buddy.
You never complain, you never moan. We haven't had one little argument. It's just been awesome cycling with Rob. I'm gonna cry in my breakfast. No, it's true. And look at that, as I say that, the sun comes out.
Back of the tarmac, back of the number one.
The sun is always shining bright. People are smiling, making plans, hiding behind their shades, and you're doing the same. No rain, no flowers, nothing's growing where you're at. Heart is fire, but baby, I bet you're cold.
This is what we're walking up to today, which is not the nicest conditions. As you see, it's maybe a little bit windy and a little bit rainy. It's not that cold, which is nice, but this constant wind and light rain makes cycling a bit hard. So the plan for 50 kilometers today might be right out the window, and we'll see what we get. But it's a case of head down and trying to get the miles into the wind, but it's energy sapping.
Both Kevin and I have ancestral ties to Scotland. I was born in Aberdeen, and Kevin's family's from Edinburgh. So this historical site reminded us both of similar events back home.
Can't see it, but I'm assuming there was, well, this settlement, or this multiple families lived there since the 20s and was abandoned in 1966. And it says there's cottages there now. I mean, we can't see it, but I'm assuming this area was the settlement of all these people. I mean, in many ways, it reminds me of the clearances, I can't say that word, clearances that happened back home, where they cleared the lands for other use, pasture use, I think it was, cattle and stuff, I'm not sure.
During our planning, We knew there were a few tunnels that we're not allowed to use, but there was nothing to say that this tunnel was one of them. Besides, there was no way we were going to go around it. That could have added over 50k to the day.
Tunnel rats.
Tunnel rats. This is really surreal, isn't it? We're under a mountain, and you can hear the echo. Rob's a bit worried that we can't stop, but at the end of the day...
You can't stop in a tunnel.
Of course you can stop in a tunnel. There's no tunnel police here.
If you're broken down...
Yeah, well, we got a problem with our pedals.
With our camera.
With our camera. It keeps on wanting to record. So...
it's nice to be out of the rain, though.
This is the driest we've been in quite a few hours. I mean, if Rob wasn't too apprehensive, I'd even suggest having lunch in here, but...
You want to set up your tent in here?
I tell you, setting up a tent in here would be frigging awesome, wouldn't it?
You're a bit loud at
night. I mean, I don't know, who would come along? Can you just imagine putting your tent out, making a cup of tea in the tunnel? All right, we'll carry on, but it is really nice and dry.
A bit breezy.
A bit breezy. Let's get going.
Keep the momentum. Something that I used to remind myself on the down times when cycling around here was that people do this able-bodied and they struggle. And I was struggling, but I was doing it with a hip replacement, with a month in a coma, with 6 months in hospital, with 35, 36 operations, so many I can't even remember anymore, with having to learn to walk again. It's just a cycle around an island, right?
This is what we have to do so you can hear us. I've always wanted to do this. Testing. Testing 1, 2, testing. Just like it was never there.
It hasn't been hidden here the whole time, just so you know.
What a weird little campsite, mate. I mean, the pitches, if you just come round a little bit, it's like a gravel ground, and they've put down artificial oh, it's not artificial, but there's weird patches, which for drainage is probably really good, because all the water's got to come down on this bits here, and you're going to get no water. But if we keep walking this way, you'll find the small problem we've got. They're all windward. Every single pitch is into the wind, which is a little bit silly. Let's go back over to away from the wind. So we either have to pick one of these, or I'm thinking I get my sleeping bag. Oh, more room. There we go. It's warm. It's windproof. It's close to the toilets. And I'm actually only half joking. That's the really weird bit. If no one else comes, why go through the effort of getting in that when I can get my sleeping bag and my mat? Perfect.
Do you realise this is the ladies, though?
Yes. There's no ladies are going to come down here, pal. I mean, I'm not even kidding. This is perfect. Perhaps sleeping in the toilets wasn't such a bad idea, because again, we were being hit by another storm, stronger than the last.
Rob just checks his phones, gusts up to 70 kilometres an hour. And this is a very, very, very strong tent, but I'm not sure about this, actually. And there's no way we can cycle in gusts of 70 kilometres. And according to the weather report, this is going to last for, give or take, 3 or 4 more days.
Instead of taking the chance of losing Kevin's tent, which was pancaking on quite flat, and we dig it down, we're both in my tent for the night, because it seems anyway just now a little bit more sturdy. So we're like 2 peas in a pod, we are like. We're in nice and tight tonight. Hopefully get a good night's sleep, and we'll be good again to go tomorrow.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight.
Look at this! We've made it all the way around Iceland, and this is the first sign that says Reykjavik on it. So it's the first time we can see how far it is to get back. And it's 454 kilometers. Ah, love that sign. Mwah!
You and I, we got it.
Wow. Mountain range is gorgeous.
We don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm.
We just got a bit of information. We got back and the lovely lady here said there's a weather warning. Okay, well, we've kind of been in Iceland a little bit. We're used to weather warnings, so we came down, we made some coffee and got a bit of a snack, and I decided to look up this weather warning. So the wind that me and Kevin were in a couple of days ago, where Kevin's tent got flattened, and we needed to go into my tent, and it was borderline and bent my pole. I can't remember what sustained was, but gusts were 50s to 60s or something like that. It was quite hard. So we were like, okay, we'll check the weather warning. So I just looked up the wind speeds. I want to share it with you now. Sustained wind of 53, gusts of 108. We can't go out in that. I'm not even kidding. There's not even a tent. I'm not sure a brick wall can stand 108. I don't know what we're going to do.
The storm was due in under 24 hours, so we just had the time to get onto the Vatnajökull Glacier, Iceland's largest. This massive ice cap is about 7.5 times the size of Greater London.
When opportunities arise like this one, sometimes you just got to take them. And completely by chance, the opportunity to get onto the glacier was presented last night. Only now do you start to get a sense of elevation when it reads out right now that we're 330 meters, and we're starting to look down on some of the mountains, and some of the lakes on top of the mountains we're now looking down on, and some of these really big openings around us. It's fantastic. It's a sense of really being up there.
I made an old man. I said, tell me your story. He took out an old pen and wrote something for me. He kept walking on down the road, and I watched him disappear like smoke. And I thought I'd just seen a ghost. Then I looked down at what he wrote.
This was a bit unexpected, wasn't it?
If you'd have said to me this time yesterday, when we were cycling, that we would be on a glacier looking at a massive crevasse, I wouldn't have believed you, mate.
Watch your step behind you though, because it's right there. It was like a twist of fate. It was the tiniest little thought, and then all of a sudden, it's like a snowball effect. Oh look, there's a glacier there. I wonder if, and then all of a sudden it's happening, and the next thing I know, we're driving up the side of the mountain in the best car in the world.
Is this the first time you've been on a glacier?
This is, I think, yeah, I've been to them. This is the first time I've been on top of one, and hence, this is why I'm smiling like this, like a Cheshire cat.
Our unplanned glacier trip was certainly the highlight of our journey, but the consequence was we'd lost 2 days on an already tight schedule, and tomorrow, the big storm will be coming, so we headed back to base to get ready for that one. You can only feel it here every now and then when this little hut shakes. There's the only indication, the noise is loud, that we're currently being hit by, well, at this point it's not too bad yet, it's only about 108 km/h gusts. So for the next 6 hours, it's up over 100, peaking at 128. And the idea of being in a tent in this, part of me thinks would be great fun. And that's only to see when the tent will buckle.
Whoa, I thought the door was going to go in. I've actually locked the door, Rob, so the door doesn't fly open. It's certainly sketchy, and the thought of cycling in this would be totally...
You couldn't?
You couldn't.
No, there's
no way on earth you could physically cycle. I mean, we're going to try it later on, see if we could even stand in it.
In a funny way, we did enjoy the storm. It was a laugh, and it gave us a break from cycling. But it smashed our schedule, and although it wasn't our goal, it did mean the chance of going full circle was slipping away from us fast.
What a difference a day makes. Can you believe that this time yesterday, well, maybe a bit later than this time yesterday, there was winds of around, hundreds, 110, 120 km/h smashing the side of these buildings and this landscape. And this morning, we're back in shorts and t-shirt, or shorts, t-shirt and jacket. Sunglasses are on, and it's actually a bit warm lying here. So for a completely different reason, I don't want to leave this hut again. Last time because I didn't want to get pounded by the wind and rain. This time, I reckon I could get a bit of a suntan if I'm lucky.
That was a long slog, that. Glad we're up here because the view is fantastic. A little bit colder, so I think we're hoping there's at least 5, hopefully 10k downhill from this point, but I'm not sure. But we're not going to spend too long up here because as soon as we stop climbing that hill, it's a bit cold. In total, we'd lost 5 days because of storms. There was no way we'd make that up. Still, we wanted to reach a place that was definitely on our bucket list. The Glacial Lagoon. This ended up being our final destination. We travelled nearly 1,000 kilometres, uphill, downhill, in wind and rain, but we'd got this far. This is quite a big moment for me, actually. Glacier Bay. This is where I wanted to get to. This was the place I wanted to get to.
I think it's amazing that we've made it this far. This was always our dream to get to this point. Reykjavik was always going to be our bonus destination, but the weather has, kind of prevented that. We lost 5 days because of the storms and stuff. Doesn't matter. It's an amazing place to see these fresh carvings coming off of the glacier, then will end up into the salt water and disappear.
We headed down to the beach. We wanted to see where these glacial carvings ended up. It was surreal. These massive chunks of ice marooned on the volcanic black sand.
It's a bit strange that it's almost over, or over. This has consumed the last 6 months of our thinking, and it's a bit surreal that it kind of comes to an end, as all things have to. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with my time all of a sudden, because I've just thought of this trip for 6 months. And we're not completely done yet, but it's done enough that it's now in my head. Still one last thing we've got to do, man. One last thing.
Our last night was spent at the Glacial Lagoon. The cycling was now in the bag. But there was one final place we had to see before we headed back home. So Stina collected us, and together we drove to the Fakladalsfjall volcano.
I've been acting like a wild man, sleeping like a child. You're so luminous and vibrant, I'm always in bloom for you. Always in bloom, always in bloom for
I think any parent wants to act like they can do anything in front of the child. And that's natural, and a child up until a certain age idolizes their parents and think they can do anything. My little boy's been aware of my injury, you know, for years. He knows what it is. He might not grasp the idea of that I was on fire and what it is, but he knows that my legs look different and I look different. One of the biggest fears I had was the school sports day. Now, before the fire, the parents' race, I'd be limbering up in the side because I'm pretty confident I was destroying everyone. But I can't run. I can't run. My body can't run. And I was petrified of this race. Not because I wouldn't win, because my little boy looks at me and thinks my daddy can do this. And to watch me absolutely fail at that because my body will not allow me to do it would have broke my heart. And I did the race, and I ran the best I possibly could and won, just so you know. And I was sore, but that was 10–50% me and 75% him looking at me. And if he was here, I'd run up the back. There's a weird, it's almost like earlier when we're at the Glacier Bay, it felt very surreal, like an end of what we've done, but this really is far to ice, and we're sitting at the volcano. And it's still smoking, and it's not maybe, you know, erupting as such, but this is from far to ice. This is it. And for the end of the trip, what this really is. A little bit sad, to be honest.
As the time in Iceland drew to an end, we looked back with a sense of pride. Neither of us had ever done anything like this before on bikes. When I think about the time I lay in hospital for over 200 days, never really knowing how I'd fully recover, it was in those darkest moments that I was able to find the strength needed to accept my injuries and just get on with life. Besides the wind, the rain, and the uphill climbs, this adventure has been above all about friendship. And that is something that no fire will ever take from me. I guess you could say I've really come from fire to ice. Eruption now. Eruption now. Now. Yo, eruption now. Eruption now. Eruption now, man. I really could get that. It was that long.
I know, but it's also freezing and we've got work to do, mate.
Welcome to Hot Springs, mate. Eruption now. Welcome to Iceland, baby. Eruption now. Can somebody press the eruption button, please? Working with attitude. Welcome to Florence to Iceland. Eruption now. Eruption now. Eruption now. Are you still recording?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Eruption now. Magic fingers, baby.